Hey guys, thanks for tuning into this episode of the Rip Griffin Show. Today is Monday, which means I've got my good guy, Cooter, back with me. Cooter, how's it going, man?
What's going on? How are you?
Oh, doing pretty good. We got a special guest on today's episode, one that you're pretty familiar with. I think y'all are kind of like relatives.
Yeah, a little bit.
Well, without further ado, I'm going to bring in Coach Kyle Hay he's the boys baseball varsity coach at John Paul II High School there in Plano, Texas. Coach Hay, how you doing, man?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Oh, doing pretty good. Would you like me to refer to you as Coach Hay or Kyle?
It doesn't matter. I tell the kids that don't call me Kyle or Mr. Hay. Kyle, I have a degree, so I feel like I should have earned enough respect for you to call me at least Mr. Hay, but don't call me Mr. Hay because it makes me feel old. So they just call me Coach Hay.
All right. Good deal. So I want to get a little bit of your coaching background. Then I know you had some visitors this past weekend, or mainly on Friday, at your school. So I want to talk a little bit about that as well. But first of all, how long have you been coaching at John Paul II?
Man, I've been at John Paul II this would be going on my 8th year now. So it's actually where I started my career. High school wise, that is. Before that, I coached select baseball for a couple of years, and kind of when I got out into the real world and didn't know what I was going to do, I had the opportunity to coach select travel baseball, and we actually practiced there at the field at John Paul, and I wasn't even working at the time. The head coach kind of comes over and he's like, "Hey man," he said, "You don't have a job?" I was like, "No." He goes, "You want to make $2,600? I was like, "Doing what?" He goes, "Coaching high school baseball for the next 5 months." And I said, "Sure, I ain't got nothing else to do, right?" So fast forward, 7 years from then, I'm here, got the head job about 2 years ago. So I consider myself pretty lucky and pretty blessed to have that.
That's pretty cool, especially when you go and then all of a sudden you've got a job offer, just like that. So that's pretty awesome to hear. Since everything's shut down with the whole COVID-19 thing, how have you and your players been kind of able to adjust to everything that's been going on?
Man, I'll tell you, we, being this is my second year as the head coach, we had a really young squad this year. I think I was at the time starting 7 sophomores. And even though we were only, we're starting 7 sophomores, 1 senior, and 2 or 3 juniors, we're in the mix. But I mean, we were 4-0 in district. We were 16-3 going into the whole shutdown. I'm sorry, 13-6. I got that backwards. We were 13-6 going into the shutdown. Just got ranked 17th in the state. And man, whenever they said your season's done, that was the hardest thing I will probably ever have to do as a coach.
Oh man.
Talking to the seniors, those guys aren't going on to play at the next level. We did have 2 guys that are going on playing at the Division I level next year. But I had, 6 other guys that's literally the last baseball they'll ever play. And that was tough to do. But, we got through that. A lot of Zoom meetings, I think that's kind of par for the course in all realms, not just baseball, but, business as it is today. So, we're still able to do a little bit. Still able to work with the guys any way I can throughout the whole shutdown, if you will. We've kind of started opening up back here a little bit. I don't know how much longer, though, here in Dallas because they're kind of spiking again. But, I would have the guys just FaceTime me. Hey, FaceTime me and get a tee, get a net, and get in front of it and set your phone up. And I'll sit there and try to coach you via Zoom or FaceTime, whatever. I did everything I could to help these guys. And I don't know if every coach was doing that, but it sounds like quite a few of us were. I think moving forward, even just on the education side, I know that there's going to be a new normal after all this is said and done. So,
yeah, it's really unfortunate that especially for these seniors, these guys that have put in the time and the work and the blood and the sweat and the tears and all that stuff, only to have it shut down mere weeks into the season.
Yep.
I wish I can sympathize with them, but I mean, that's heartbreaking, honestly, for these kids. And I mean, even though all these other kids that may not be playing baseball, that just have their school year completely wrecked because of this. But you did mention you had a couple players that are they going Division I, Division II?
So last year's class, we had 8 seniors. 2 of them are going to go on and play at the next level, both Division I kids. One's going to be going to Kansas University, and the other will be at Southern University. So 2 pretty darn good baseball schools. I'll give you a little background on our school. Our school's only 15 years old. So we're a really young school. I want to say in that 15 years, if you will, only played 13 varsity seasons. We've won district twice.
That's still pretty good for being so young.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if you look at our district. So our district has the likes of Plano, Prestonwood. Prestonwood is, I mean, they've won state several times. We're equivalent to a 6A high school in Texas.
Okay.
And we play them. And we played Jesuit, back, I think in 2015 when they had like Kyle Mueller, a couple of big name guys. We actually went into their house and beat them 5-3 that year. They ended up in the 6A state championship that year. So, we've got really good baseball kids. We're known more for an academics school. So, for us to have, I counted up the other day. I was actually looking at my wall because we have a kind of a shadow box that's got every kid that's gone on and played at the next level. And we've had 37 kids go and play at the next level.
Wow.
In the last
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
26 of them have been in the last 7 years, though.
Wow.
You take responsibility for that one.
Dude,
you should hold that up high, man. That's an accomplishment.
Absolutely.
Any have reached the next level within, have gotten drafted?
No, 2016 we had a kid catcher, Michael Chambers. He was actually drafted in the 40th round. They were going to take him. Blue Jays were going to take him in the 10th. But he was a little, I don't want to say immature. He just wasn't ready. And,
right.
After talking to a couple of their scouts and their national cross checkers and just kind of, when you're talking to those guys, it's just like when I'm talking to the college coaches, man, I'm going to tell them how it is.
Right.
As much as I want the kids to go on and play at the next level, I'm not going to risk the opportunity in the future that another kid may have by sending someone somewhere that they're not ready for. And then, makes me look bad, kind of makes our program look bad. And we, I want to keep that integrity of the program regardless, if they're ready or not. I'm going to tell them how it is. So, we let him know that, and he fell from the 10th round all the way down to the 40th. He didn't sign. He ended up going and playing at Grayson Community College, which is a pretty daggum good junior college here in North Texas.
It is. Yeah.
And kind of fighting his way up through that. So, no, the long answer to your answer would be no.
No, that's great.
I mean, shoot, isn't it like less than 1% to even get signed and get called up or even get drafted? I mean, if you look at mathematically, I mean, even to get considered a nomination is fantastic.
Absolutely, especially like this year, since there was only 5 rounds in the draft, and
right,
that's going to change. We're talking recruiting. That, I mean, the coaches I've talked to, you spoke a little bit about what we had Friday, which is kind of funny. I'll name some of the names, but one was Skip Johnson, the head coach at OU, Oklahoma University, and just kind of chatting with him. I mean, he's got the NCAA granted another year of eligibility for all their kids. And
So what does that do with the recruiting process and the draft and all that? I mean,
so it's actually that all actually intertwines, and a lot of people don't realize it, but the MLB actually flows all the way down to the high school level.
Right.
So you have the MLB that says, okay, we have 5, we're going to go to 5 rounds. And, the person who controls that is Robert Manfred, the commissioner. And I'm going to stay away from that topic. But
yeah,
That's a sore subject for Cooter.
it is, dude.
And maybe this will shed some light on those that may not know. But so he drops it down to 5 rounds and then sets a cap for free agency signings. Okay. So, for instance, talking to Coach Price at the University of Kansas University, and he's got 7 seniors from last year's squad, 5 of which are all draft eligible and probably going to go in the top 10 rounds, right? Okay. So probably the number 1 guy is their closer. Dude's throwing 95, 97. I mean, he's pretty damn good. He's looking at a 3rd, 4th round possibility of getting drafted. Well, doesn't get drafted, right? So you figure he'd get picked up in free agency. Well, that cap on the free agency is not enough for these guys to say, yeah, I mean, I'll take that. They're saying, they'll say, no, I'll take my 5th-year senior of the eligibility from the NCAA and go back and play another year in college, and then try it again, try to get drafted again. And so, well, if you think 5 out of those 7 seniors didn't go in the draft, he's got 6 out of those 7 seniors that are actually going to return and play their 5th-year senior. So you're thinking that's 6 guys, that's 6 scholarships, right? Kids that not all of them may have been on scholarship. I don't know, I don't know if they were or not, but I know several of them were, or a few of them were. Well, you're talking that's part of the 11.7 that NCAA caps scholarships for their programs in baseball. So
Right.
you're talking that's 5 or 6 seniors in high school that just lost their scholarship to go play at Kansas the next year, because there's not a 5th year for high school. So
Right.
Wow.
So basically, they're losing out on the spot because people decide to stay back.
Yes, and then you say that, but really it's even, you take it a step further, it's because we only had 5 rounds in the Major League Draft. There's a cap limit set past that.
Right.
And
So,
all that, in my opinion, is even before COVID and all this went down, you have Robert Manfred trying to say all these things about how he wants to reduce the amount of minor league teams. Check. He was able to do that through all this stuff. He's using kind of the situation to get what he wanted, without the regard that it's affecting all the way down to not just the class of 2020. So you got to think those kids that lost that money to go play at the next level, right? They're all scrambling right now. I mean, there's thousands. I'm talking 25, 30,000, high school or 2020 graduates of high school that have nowhere to go next year or play.
Wow.
And so you're talking a lot of, and some schools have kind of manned up, and in my opinion, it's going to actually flip the whole college game around, which, you're a lot of D2s and D3s, you're more academic style colleges, right? Your Patriot League, that's, your Ivy League schools, Lafayette, Pennsylvania. Those schools have actually come back and said, we will not allow a 5th-year senior to have his 5th-year eligibility. So all those schools are getting those high-end recruits that your University of Texas or your Arkansas had just lost because they have a senior returning. So I think you fast forward 3 or 4 years from now, you're going to see a lot more of those mid-level schools competing in the College World Series. You're going to see a lot more of those D2, D3s kind of start to become more powerhouses and totally change the game of college baseball.
I mean, that's a good thing, I think, in the grand scheme of things. I mean,
yeah, I agree.
Wow, that's just crazy how it will, the current situation will affect the future. It's just, oh man, that's just, the whole dynamic is changing.
You're talking even, I mean, so I kind of said I had 7 sophomore starters this year. They'll be juniors next year. 2022 grads is what they are. I even suspect some of them feeling the effects of all this. For instance, the NCAA last week pushed back the deadline, not the deadline, the dead period another month. So Division I, NCAA Division I schools still have yet to be able to contact or even recruit or see any high school kids play.
Wow.
So I'm talking to Skip. Skip's calling the next 3 years worth of kids or recruits. He's calling them the COVID kids. He's literally having to recruit via video sent through his email. That's how they're having to right now.
Jeez. Wow. This is just there's just a lot that's going to go on in the next few years, I tell you.
Oh, yeah.
So let me ask this kind of like a segue question. Do you think the draft is actually too long at the 40 rounds?
Nope, not at all. I don't at all. I think 40 may be too long, but I think 25, 30, I think it's warranted. I think the more teams that we can form, the more of that dream of playing at the big leagues can come. I look at it as like my program. I don't cut freshmen, and then I don't cut sophomores. So I'm going to give you at least until the end of your sophomore year to prove that you're going to work and that you're ready to play at the varsity level. So I'm going to let kids experience high school baseball. Now, they may not play all 4 years. They may not get to play on the varsity level, but they're going to at least
give them a chance.
They're going to get a chance. And because you never know. I related to a story of the high school I went to. It's an incredible story. There's a guy that actually, I'll get to that, but he, left-handed kid, comes in, he couldn't break a pane of glass with a baseball. I mean, I think he was throwing 62, 63 miles an hour. He's 5'6" and about 195, 200 pounds, big fat kid. Well, he gets cut his freshman year, doesn't play his freshman year, and he comes back his sophomore year. This is then my senior year. At 6'3", 205, throwing 88. Goes on to play at OU, gets drafted, goes on, and he's the first person out of my entire school district to make it to the major leagues.
Wow.
San Francisco Giants. Stephen Oker was his name.
Wow. That's just
an incredible story. So I don't know if these kids are going to turn into anything. And you ask about the draft. I think, having 25, 30, 40 rounds gives the opportunities for these clubs to take chances on some kids.
Right.
Kids that are getting overlooked probably.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you're going to cut down the draft, don't put a cap on free agency or don't set the cap so low that no one wants to sign. No one wants to go play minor league baseball for a signing bonus of $5,000 whenever, a year ago they could have got drafted in the 15th round and made $200,000.
Not to mention the wear and tear, been away from family, those bus rides. I mean, there's a lot to play into that in the minor league systems.
Yeah.
It's a big commitment to go play minor league baseball. You're playing for peanuts at the lower levels.
Right.
You truly are. And you're playing for the love of the game is what you're doing and an opportunity to possibly make it past that. And you're taking these opportunities away. Nonetheless, you're taking away economy builders in these cities like Missoula, Montana. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There's a AA team in Missoula. There's a AA team in Billings. You take away enough of these teams, there's just going to be empty ballparks and nowhere to work.
Right.
And some of these towns, that's all they have. They go to football on Friday nights in the fall. They go to the baseball games on Friday nights in the spring. And you're it's not just hurting baseball, it's hurting America. I mean, this is America's sport, right? I mean, you're taking those away. So again, long answer to the short question would be I don't think it's too long.
Okay.
Now, does it need to be televised? No, not all 40 rounds, but yeah.
No, I've heard some that I think back in the day it was like 60 rounds, then it jumped down to I think 50. Now it's at that present 40 rounds. So I'm always been curious to get different opinions, whether it's either too long or too short. So, but I kind of want to change gears a little bit. You kind of, I read that you were a pitcher at Stephen F. Austin University.
I was.
How was that experience like?
Like no other, man.
And Howard too, right?
Yeah, Howard Junior College as well. Howard was kind of a lot. I mean, it was a little bit better, but a little bit better experience at SFA. When I was in junior college at Howard, I mean, that was a grind, brother. There's no rules on how long you can practice.
Wow.
6 miles at 6 a.m., go to class, get done, eat, and then you're on the baseball field from about noon until 8:30. Eat dinner, and then you have Pilates at 10 to 11, and go to sleep and get back up, do it all again the next day.
Groundhog Day.
It's rough, brother. But
Man.
but it gets you ready to go to the next level, whether that be, you know, a Division I school or a four-year school or a major league draft. I mean, you know, SFA was there's a lot more people there. From a college experience, SFA was awesome to go play at. You know, was able to kind of be on the forefront of them turning their program. They just got their program reinstated, so got to play with guys like, you know, Hunter Dozier. You know, he's with Kansas City, I believe.
I think so.
Outfielder of Kansas City, yeah. He was actually a shortstop at SFA.
He played infield in college.
Yeah. And you see a lot of that. You see a lot of guys, you know, they'll play different positions in MLB or, you know, everybody in college is either a pitcher or they played shortstop and batted 3-hole at the Division I level.
You're right.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you still keep in contact with Hunter?
I do not. I haven't talked to him in a long time. I do keep contact with a couple guys from Howard. Tyler Landendorf, talked to him a few times. He was with Oakland for a while. Matt Curry, he's first baseman. He played at TCU 2012. He's the one who hit the home run in the bottom of the ninth when he was down 3.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was awesome. I think ESPN just did a story on the baseball. It was pretty cool. Talked to him a little bit. I talked to a lot more of the guys that I played high school baseball with or against, kind of growing up playing. You know, Pedro Villarreal, he's from Howard. He was with the Reds for a while, and I think he's in Mexico now playing. Don't quote me on that, but I worked a lot with him when he was with the Reds, and that's kind of what's kind of started the whole big league guys coming up and working out. You know, I think it was probably my second year at John Paul, and I actually ran into Pedro at a grocery store and kind of was like, "Hey man, what's going on? How you been?" And so good, just back, you know, about to start getting ready to go back to spring training, and I said, "Oh, that's cool, man. Where are you working out?" You know, and he said, "Well, wherever I can." And I said, "Well, I mean, I've got an indoor facility I do lessons out of in Plano, and full turf baseball field, turf mound, the whole nine. I mean, multi-million-dollar facility. Man, dude, why don't you come up here and work out up here?" And he said, "Absolutely." So he started coming up, and then, you know, I guess, you know, like all great marketing, word of mouth is the best, right? And so I look up and, you know, 3 years later after that point, there's, you know, 10, 15, 12. It just really depends on the given day and what the guys are doing. You know, last Friday we had 18 guys up there.
Wow. Sorry. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, so it just kind of grew and took off. And I mean, some of the names that's been out there it's insane. Clayton Kershaw, I can name some. You want to do Clayton Kershaw.
You played against Kershaw in high school too, didn't you?
I did. I got 3 ABs.
Didn't he throw like two back-to-back no hitters in the tournament?
He did. He was average at best in high school. he was very dominant.
Yeah, Tom.
Like I said, I had 3 at-bats against him, saw 9 pitches. Do the math, right? Okay, so
Oh man.
You know, you got a guy throwing 94 in high school from the left side, which when I played, there was a few guys. I mean, I was low 90s in high school, and you know, there it's becoming a lot less rare. But the biggest difference for Kershaw was, man, that curveball is just, it is filthy. You got 94 on the outside corner tailing away from you, and then you look up, and next thing you know, it looks like the ball's about to go over the backstop and just falls right down the middle. You just tip your cap and walk off. But there's no chance. Like, no, I don't even need a bat anymore. Like, I'll just come stand up there. Hopefully you hit me. But he was good. Kershaw's come up and thrown. Like I said, Pedro, a ton of AA guys, ton of AAA guys. And then it kind of petered out for a year or two because that whole generation of kid had kind of, my generation, if you will, were on the back end of their careers, and either they're playing in Japan or they're kind of away from the area. And then one of my assistant coaches, he grew up as the next door neighbor to Cameron Rupp.
Oh wow!
Cameron Rupp's the catcher for the Phillies, or was. Texas, Minnesota. He's bounced around all over the place. He's kind of in a journeyman role now, I guess. But he gave us a call about 2 or 3 years ago. Needed a place to swing it, and I was like, and I played against Cameron as well in high school, and I kind of joked with him like, you're going to use that stealth to be the Beaster bat, and I was like, I have one in my office, you can use it, and he did. He hit about a 580-foot home run. It was. He hit our softball field, which pretty much their field starts where our fence ends, and he hit the softball fence, which is 100 feet past where ours was. So I guess between 560 and 580. It was
moon blaster, huh?
Oh, it was awesome.
Wow.
So now every time he comes out, he ends his last round, he takes with the Beaster bat. He's trying to hit it over that things now. So
trying to increase that distance year by year.
But he started coming out, and kind of the same thing happened. It was word of mouth. But I think the biggest difference is Cameron knew a lot more people, and now it's not every day that they come out, but I probably have. They're never here at this point because typically baseball is being played, right? So It's kind of in new territory here. But with COVID happening, all the fields in Dallas are kind of either shut down. Schools won't let them out, outside people onto the field. Not gonna lie, that ours is kind of closed to anyone other than our school. So, but my kind of defense to that was, hey man, like, this is the future of my sport. You know what I'm saying? These guys are about to leave and go to spring training, and they haven't done anything in 3 months. Where, in the past, they're getting ready. Typically a typical year when we start in March. Those guys are coming up in November. They get started working out in November. Work throughout December, and then they go get fat during Christmas, and they come back and like, please let me come up in January. And I'm like, dude, my season's about to start, so you better come in the morning. But so all these fields closed, and the few fields that are open, you have high school select baseball that are needing fields. So obviously they're paying customers. They're like, sorry guys, like, we have games, right? Well, since ours isn't open to that, I've had the opportunity to have these guys come out and work. And, Friday, I can tell you Friday was a phenomenal day because it finally kind of, like, everybody, all the big league guys reported Saturday. If not, they left Friday to report. So kind of all the guys that were left were like, let's get one more last hoorah in, right? So just a couple names that were out there. I'll start with the coolest, man. I'm sitting there, and guys were starting to roll in, and Cameron was, he obviously was probably one of the first ones there, just because he kind of knew us and wanted to make sure he beat everybody there. He rolls in, sits down, and we're kind of talking, and I look up, and there's a group of about 3 guys come in, I'm like, who are they? He's like, oh, don't worry about those kids. I mean, those are just young dudes. But the older guy with them was kind of real. And I'm like, well, who's the older guy? He's like, that's Sandy Alomar.
Wow.
It's like the Sandy Alomar, like Hall of Fame guy. Like he's that catcher. I mean, that guy. He's like, yep, that guy. I was like, holy crap.
Wow.
Like, and and I was kind of talking to Cooter and Cooter's brother Richard. Actually Richard came out and he got to watch some of it too. But Cooter was like, "Give me some autographs, man." I'm like, "Nah."
Typical Cooter thing.
I had to ask, dude. I mean, you're there, but I get why you don't. I get it. You can't be a fanboy, even though you might as much as you want to be.
That's something you would say.
Well, you would say it too. You have Sandy Alomar out there.
Absolutely.
I mean, damn.
So Sandy walks out, and I'm like, "Dude, I might have to ask him for an autograph. I mean, or at least or something." When those guys come out, then those are legends, dude. So. Yeah, I'll turn into a little fanboy whenever he's out there. But when I got Cameron up out there, I'm just like, dude, Cam, I struck your ass out in high school, dude. Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
So, Kershaw. I mean, we did have him sign some stuff. I mean, it's Kershaw, dude. I mean, that guy's like instant legend just by what he's done in his career. But, but no, Sandy Alomar Jr. came out. Bobby Witt Jr. I don't know. It's probably a name that I don't know if y'all may have heard yet. Second round draft pick of last year. It's actually Bobby Witt's son. Bobby Witt.
He's coming up in the minors, isn't he?
Yeah. So like I said, he got drafted last year. So I'll give you a glimpse of his high school senior season. Was in the state championship game, Colleyville Heritage. Played 6 innings at shortstop. Came in the 7th inning to close, throwing 97.
Jeez.
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, and the kid is probably got one of the best swings I've seen in a long time. He is very, very good. Now he's a normal-looking guy. He's 5'11", 170 pounds, 180 pounds maybe. But he rolls out there and he looks like he's standing next to a guy, Chris Davis. I mean, Chris Davis, Baltimore Orioles.
He's another guy that was there on Friday, right?
Yeah, so Chris was out there as well. Chris is actually from Longview, so I think he lives here in Dallas or was staying with someone here in Dallas, but he came out as well. But he's standing next to him, and I'm like, these are two way different Major League Baseball. I think I sent Cooter and even maybe you, Rip, the picture of the difference between me and Chris. It was insane. And I'm like 6'2", about 205. So I'm not a small guy by any means. And he just powered me, man. Let's see who else came out. Derek Holland was out there.
How much of a character is Holland? Was he his normal self, or was he Holland being Holland?
I'll get to what happened. There's a fun story that happened Friday. It was awesome. And I would say no. I would say Cameron Rupp's probably more of a character than Holland, but Derek was very professional. Came out, introduced himself, said thank you a million times, said he's going to send me a check. And I'm like, dude, don't send me a check, for the field or whatever. I was like, nah, I don't want it. I said, I want you to go have a good year this year. Thing about Derek doesn't – he disagreed. Actually, I'll say this, all the players Friday were talking about how they disagreed with everything. So
I was actually going to say that was going to be one of my questions here in just a minute. But
good, I'll get to it.
You were all on the same wavelength here.
Yeah. So Chase Anderson was another guy. It was his first time out, pitcher for the Blue Jays. He just got paid, man. 3 years, 300 million.
Wow.
Or, not 300 million, 30 million, which is still
that's still pretty good.
10 million a year. That's not bad.
No.
But let's see. Billy McKinney, he was out there. Billy actually comes up and hits regularly. He's kind of one of the regular guys up there. Great dude, by the way. Love Billy. He's an awesome dude. Let's see. Who else is out there? A few minor leaguer guys. Those are kind of the big names that were there Friday. I can't really think of any of the other ones. Courtney Hawkins, LaTroy Hawkins' son. He minor league guy. He's going to be coming up this year. Keep an eye out for him. He's in the Dodgers organization. The dude's going to be good, unless he got traded. He may have said he got traded, but he real stand-up guy. We're actually about to redo all the turf on our field. And walking out, he's like, "What are you going to do with that?" I said, "I think they're just going to throw it away, man." He goes, "I'll have an 18-wheeler here. We're going to go down. We'll set up 3." He said, "You think we get 3 youth fields out of this?" I was like, "Maybe 2, maybe 3." And he's like, "Well, the Boys and Girls Club down in Austin has the room for it. We just need the turf." And I was like, "Take it." So he's going to take our turf and put in a couple youth. So
that's fantastic.
That's awesome to hear.
Yeah, man. These guys are kind of like I was telling, Cooter and my cousin Richard, these guys are real guys. I mean, they're real guys. It's one biggest thing I found interacting with these guys that play at the biggest stage there is they're real human beings. And to be honest, a lot of them, the guys I see that actually make it, they're the ones that are, after the game, they stay and clean out the dugout, even though they're making $100 million a year, they sign autographs. I mean, there were 10 or 15 kids that actually showed up, not our high school kids, but like people, word of mouth, I guess, right? Found out that they were going to be up there. I mean, there were people waiting outside the gate for autographs and stuff. And every single one of them stopped, asked them how their day was going, signed autographs, stayed 15, 20 minutes. And like, for instance, Derek Holland had to get up the next morning, and he's got I think he said a 26-hour drive to get to spring training. So,
wow.
Jeez.
And he takes time out of his day to sign autographs. I mean, that tells you the character of these guys.
Wow. And he was headed to Arizona, right?
Pittsburgh.
Oh, that's right. They're not they're not doing it actually at the spring training facilities.
Some teams, I believe, are, and I think some are doing it at home.
They're gonna do that PNC?
I think so. Why wouldn't you?
That's a beautiful ball. That's the only thing good about the Pittsburgh Pirates is their field. Other than that, their organization is trash.
Yeah, I had a conversation today, and they said Mark Cooter. My assistant coach, a huge Pittsburgh fan, just like you, Cooter. Loves Steelers. He's got the Pittsburgh Pirate P tattooed on his arm.
Yeah.
He was talking about he's going to move to Pittsburgh because Mark Cuban's going to buy the Pirates. And
I heard that too.
Interesting.
Well, if he doesn't buy them, I said 2 or 3 more years, I'll buy them because I'll be able to afford them in about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're right, man.
If you want a partner, I'll partner up with you too.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But no, it's awesome.
So, you sent us a video of, I think, with Holland on the mound, and he was facing Chris Davis. How was his mechanics wise? Did he seem like he was kind of already in mid-season form, or?
So kind of the way they worked it is they did live ABs. And to be honest with you, these guys have been doing that since about April, early April, from what I've seen. I'm sure they've been working before that. But like early April, we had Delino DeShields and Derek Holland and Rupp and a couple other guys.
Hey, is that dude fast or what in person? He run?
No, they don't
Okay.
run the bases. I mean,
I figured he'd run it out to first. I don't know.
That's the only tool there, fast Cooter, that shows up to the ball every day.
Yeah.
You have some days you go 0 for 3 and some days you go 3 for 3. But if you're fast, man, you're fast every day.
That's true.
But yeah, that dude is unbelievably fast. So what they did Friday is they kind of did a simulated three outs and then they switched. So I think Derek threw 3 or 4 innings. A couple of them he extended. He was like, no, I want to kind of work here. And just like the baseball that I see right when we first start, the pitchers are always way ahead of the hitters. Get the timing down, all that good stuff. But they have a little machine now. It's called a Rapsodo. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. You see Trevor Bauer talk about them all the time.
Trevor Bauer, Power Hour.
I like that guy, man. You know, a lot of people don't like him, love him. You know,
I like him, dude. I love that he's outspoken too about everything going on.
Absolutely.
I've been trying to get him on the show for a while, but he won't respond back to me.
Maybe I'll talk to some guys, see if I can't pull some strings. I don't know him personally, but I'm sure I know of someone who knows him, and I'll see if I can get him on. But
yeah, it'd be awesome.
That dude is kind of the forefront of pitching, right? So spin rate. You hear a lot of guys talk a lot about spin rate these days. The whole StatCast era, if you will. Well, the Rapsodo essentially is the machine that kind of started the whole revolution for spin rate, but it does so much more than that. I'm talking it calls it a ball, it calls it a strike. It tells you like vertical drop and horizontal run. It tells you where you release the ball and if you're off of where you normally are. It does spin rate. It shows you the axis of which the ball rotates. I'm talking there is more information on that thing than I think anybody can really get from it. So,
Could you imagine if they had that about 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Man.
Like I was telling a couple of those guys, man, at the high school level, I don't necessarily think it's going to make you a lights out pitcher. I think it'll be a lot. I think it'll be used a lot more for keeping kids safe throwing mechanically.
I mean, look at Tommy John in high school. I mean, it's record rate getting surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane. A lot of that's they're kind of cracking down on that, pitch limits in high school, so forth. But just seeing you asked it, how did he look? I mean, his numbers were there. I mean, two seam was sitting at 88, 91. You know, curveball looked good. Now, changeup looked phenomenal. His changeup looked really good. You know, here and there he would miss a spot. You know, I think the video I sent, he missed a spot with you know, Chris Davis, and Chris just slapped it right back up the middle on him. And, you know, that's kind of the game of baseball. You know, could he go out and throw a complete game right now? He probably could, but tomorrow he would feel it. You know,
right?
And that's kind of one thing that they shared is, you know, a lot of them feel like they're not ready. You know, and with spring training not being as long as it normally is, there's just a lot of unanswered questions right now with those guys. So, you know, we can only do so much, right? So
right. So I want to follow up with this last question. We kind of already touched on it just a little bit. Is the players and how their attitude towards how everything went down this past offseason with the whole negotiation thing. Did they mention how satisfied or unsatisfied they were, and also to how was their morale with everything?
Okay. First, let me start with a story real fast, or tell you the story of what happened Friday, and then it'll kind of segue into that.
Okay.
You have Billy McKinney at the plate. You had Derek Collin on the mound, camera up behind the plate. And this is going to answer your morale question. Well, Derek Collin, so Derek's on the mound, like I said. Billy McKinney's been on the on-deck circle of the on-deck circle of the on-deck circle. So there's so many hitters and not as many pitchers. And so, of course, these guys that are playing in the big leagues want to see the big league hitters. But, you know, double-A guy jump in, ground out, right, or strike out. So then it kind of took away some at-bats for the major league guys, right? So Billy finally gets in to hit against Derek. And first pitch gets froze by a fastball in the outside corner. Next pitch kind of fouls off. I believe he fouled it off, or it was a ball. And then he, gets just fisted, like just a little slow ground ball, like a swinging bunt, you know, pretty much. And he's like, "Oh, no, foul ball. I want a do-over." And Cameron takes his mask off. He's like, "Oh, man, this isn't golf, brother. Get out of here." And Derek's like, "No, dude, you're out." And, you know, everybody's kind of screaming. And Billy's like, get out of my way. And he gets back in the box. He's like, "Get on the damn mound, throw a pitch." And they did that because they were having fun. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. They're getting their competitive edge back too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And being a baseball coach, man, I haven't felt that in a long time, since March, since back when we were playing. And, you know, I think I came home that night and was telling my wife, it was like, you know, she loves baseball too. And so I'm sharing this with my wife, and she's like, I haven't seen you this excited about baseball in 3 or 4 months. And I was like, it's because they were there, they were having fun, they were playing. It was like watching me, you know, telling my kids to go play wiffle ball. That's what it looked like they were doing. They're out there playing wiffle ball, and they were just having fun, you know. And I think they got a glimpse or a taste of the fun part of baseball, right? And then now they got to go to work.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the morale, I think, is there. I think the guys are excited to go play, to have that camaraderie and that competition and that fun on the player side, right? But on the business side, they don't want to go back. They don't want to risk injury, especially for a pitcher. They don't want to risk injury for a 60-game season.
I don't blame them at all.
Yeah.
You know, your guys that's going to get paid, your Mike Trouts of the world, your you know, Kershaw, those guys that have those nice contracts. So I'm sure they're ready to go back and play. But you talk about a guy like Derek Holland, who's on a 1-year deal. He's like, hell no, I don't want to go back and pitch. And what if I go out and blow my arm?
Right.
I hadn't been able to be working the way I wanted to be working. I don't want to go out, and maybe I don't blow my arm. Maybe I just have a bad season. What's his chance of getting signed? What's his chance of finding another team to pick?
Exactly.
Exactly.
That's exactly what you could have said.
So,
Exactly.
you know, a lot of these guys, they don't – I say a lot of these guys. The guys I talked to and were around the last couple of months, a lot of them are on 1-year deals. You know,
Like
some of which on the back end of their careers, but are still provide a lot of you know, numbers, a lot of production for the teams, but they're just afraid of going and playing a 60-game season because you're not able to compare apples to apples.
Right.
You know, you look at guys that have great first halves and terrible second halves, or, you know, vice versa. There's no half this year. There's no break in the season, and it's a lot of the games, a lot of back-to-back. Playing against the same guys. The teams are, you know, they're staying inter division, right? So a lot of it.
Yeah.
So,
West on West, basically.
Yeah. And so it's like they're seeing the same guys over and over and over and over and over. Well, you see a guy enough as a hitter, you're going to figure them out.
Sure.
And you would think the same as pitching, but you know, my position, I would say once pitch calling at the high school level, if I see you swing once, I found your hole. If you can't fix that hole, I'm going to exploit it all day long. And major league guys have to continually adjust and fix those holes. Well, then you fix a hole, you create another one, right? So now it's going to be a chess match of who's been studying and who's been correcting, right? So,
Right.
Man, morale's there, but I don't think they want to go back. I really don't.
So let me ask you this. This is kind of follow up. Do you think that we're going to see quite a few actually sit out this season?
I don't think so. You know, I don't think there'll be a sit out, not for the reasons that we think, or you may think. This is going to bring up a whole nother topic for you. This is probably the interaction between the players. They had already been talking about you know, the whole coming back and playing, and they've been doing that for the last 2 or 3 months. You know, obviously the MLBPA, you know, going back and forth, and you know, so that conversation had already kind of died by Friday. But kind of the biggest thing is kind of this whole social injustice thing going on. And something to look at, man. Baseball is a very predominantly white sport, and it is, you know, socioeconomics of it is the rich kids get to play baseball, and you know, it's either you're white and you're rich and you get to play, or you are from Latin America where they have developmental centers spread out. all over the place. And
Right.
I'm afraid, man. I'm afraid of that. And I'm afraid that something's going to come out from the MLB or about the MLB, about how it's been ran, that we don't know about. I'm definitely afraid of that.
Right.
You mean like hurting the integrity of the game? What do you mean?
I don't necessarily think it would hurt the integrity of the game. I think it would hurt the character of the game, of Major League Baseball. For instance, how many baseball players you see take a knee during a national anthem?
There's never been one.
There's been one.
Has there? I guess I didn't see it.
I think there was one, and then I can't remember who it was, but I think the very next day that they stood for the rest of the year. Either that or they were, man, I don't want to speak out of terms or say something.
Sure. No,
right,
sure. Yeah.
Right.
That, you know what I'm saying? I would just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on how that unfolds. I don't necessarily think it's going to. Then again, I didn't think Minneapolis would say, yeah, we don't need a police force anymore. So
Yeah.
That's pretty
true.
wild scene, isn't it?
That is, yeah. that's
it's crazy, and that's the world we live in today.
2020 is wild, dude.
It's been a very, very strange year. That's for sure.
It's a screenplay. I think you posted something that was really awesome. It was a screenplay written by Stephen King and directed by Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly.
That would definitely sum up 2020.
Yes. Yeah.
So, that's kind of a topic that I don't think is necessarily a lot of people see around baseball, or it hasn't come out yet. I think football kind of takes a limelight on that, and
which they probably should, because the way things were handled and whatnot.
Absolutely, but at the end of the day, it's something that needs to be considered by Major League Baseball and looked into, and make sure that the sport's doing the right thing. Are we providing the opportunities to everyone? Is there anything that we're not we're? I mean, I say we're being a baseball coach, but is there anything that baseball or Major League Baseball is doing, or hiding rather, that is creating some kind of social injustice? I don't know if the answer is yes or no. I don't know that answer, but I think that's something to look at and see if, or hope that nothing comes out along those lines.
It is the 100th anniversary today of the Negro Leagues. To pay homage to them.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. It you see
revolutionized the game, brought in a lot of good talent.
A lot of good talent. A lot.
I have a theory saying if there wasn't ever a Negro League and everybody played in the same league, Babe Ruth would have an asterisk next to his name.
Absolutely. But Babe Ruth was one of a kind, man.
Yes, he was. Yeah.
I mean, he'd be able to smoke cigars, drink beer, and eat hot dogs and blast as many home runs as he did.
He had courtesy runners on, and I don't know, he had not courtesy, because you don't have courtesy runner in the big leagues.
Yeah. He had
a pinch runner. He had pinch runner for his home runs.
Yeah, he'd just run it first, and everybody else ran around for him.
Yep.
Oh, man, you won't see that in today's game, that's for sure. Nope.
You can't even run across the mound from third back to your dugout. Ask A-Rod about that.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Coach A, I appreciate you coming on. It's been awesome. Lots of good information. I appreciate it. You taking the time to come on with this. Cooter, you got anything else?
I'll see you in a couple of weeks, Kyle.
Yeah, come up. You got to come check out our new field. It's going to be awesome.
I'm going to have to make a road trip up there.
Bringing the girls with us.
Yeah, come on. Anybody's welcome.
All right, brother.
Right now we're closed down for COVID, but when you know somebody, you can get in.
There you go.
All right. Coach, appreciate it. Have a good evening.
And more than happy to come on anytime you want me to, brother.
Excellent. I appreciate it.
Yep. See you, bro.
See you.
Later, man.
See you.
Oh, man, that was awesome. That was
Hell of a lot longer than 15 minutes, huh?
Yeah. I know we had some other stuff to cover, but man, that just when you have lots of great information, you don't want to, transition. You just want to keep it going. So
No, keep the flow rolling.
yeah, no, man, that was awesome. Definitely, much appreciation for him coming on. So,
Yeah.
I'll give you a pat on the back too for kind of setting it up. So
I mean, come on, bro.
come on now, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back. Give yourself a pat on the back. Come on now.
It's your, okay, there we go.
There you
your
go.
Show. It's your
there
show,
you go. So I know we had some other stuff to cover, but we may have to cut this short because the show did kind of go a little bit longer, but that's fine. So
all right, man, we got covered. We're gonna have to obviously cover the Cam Newton thing. That's some big news.
Yes.
But we could probably touch base with that next week. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot more coming out with that.
Oh, absolutely. The fine details and all that good stuff. So, but man, I appreciate you coming on, and we'll do this again next week. We'll kind of touch on some football, and spring training will be underway.
Right.
So maybe we'll find out. NBA should be starting up actually here pretty soon, so maybe we'll have a touch on that as well. So it'll be interesting week in sports.
Sports is coming back finally.
It is
a little bit of normalcy.
Right. It took long enough, but it's finally getting here.
I'll take it in the doses.
Right.
It's coming.
That's right. So, all right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode. Please remember to subscribe to the show on all the major podcast platforms, whether it be Apple, Google, or Spotify. Rate the show. Tell me how we're doing. And until then, we'll see you next time. All right, guys, take care.